Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Reagan May. If you are new here, hello, welcome. I'm glad you clicked on my video. If you are not new here, then welcome back. I'm glad you're here as well. Today I'm going to be doing a video that is a bit different than my other videos, and it is a video all about my favorite Christian books. So I am not like the world's biggest reader, but I also love reading and I'm trying to get back into it. And as I was trying to get back into it, I saw all these books that have really shaped me and helped me with my understanding of the Lord and pushed me in my walk and encouraged me. And these books I am truly passionate about. I love every single one of them. And I just wanted to share it with y'all and share it with the world. I love to look up Christian books because for me, it's hard to pick out books because it's so saturated and you don't really know like what it's going to be like when you read it. So I love looking up videos to see what books have encouraged other people and what books have helped them in their walk. So some of these books I have here in front of me. A few of them I do not actually have because I've either let somebody borrow them and I haven't gotten them back, or some of them I actually just listened to on Audible, but I will tell y'all the name, the author, give y'all a little description to the best of my ability. I would love if y'all would leave some recommendations down below. I'm trying to get into reading more in 2023, so please leave Christian book recommendations. Okay guys, so let's just go ahead and get right into it. I'm gonna do my absolute best to explain these to the best of my ability. Some of them are really spiritual and abstract and a little harder to explain, but I'm gonna do my best. Okay guys, so let's just go ahead and get into book number one. And book number one is my most recent read. It is The Ruthless Illumination by John Mark Comer. It is highly popular right now. I'm sure you've heard of it. If you haven't, that's okay. But John Mark Comer is a pastor who teaches out of Oregon, I believe at Bridgetown Church. So he has this kind of saying, two of his sayings really stick with me. The first one is that we are called to be apprentices of Jesus, following what he actually did, and also we are to know him, to be like him, and then to do what he did. And all of his teachings are kind of based around that. So in this book, he really talks about how hurry is like death to a spiritual life, and how our culture specifically is so hurried and chaotic, and like hustling is like a good thing in our culture. Like it can be a good thing. He talks about it being the problem and how it is stopping us from loving people, from living out a life serving God. It's keeping us from our full potential and our full joy in God. And so the first half just kind of talks about what our culture, like the problems in our society and the problems like kind of in our heart with hurry, and how the devil uses those against us. And then the last half kind of tells you what to do about that and how to unhurry your life. So he gives you some practices at the end of it. I feel like it hit home with me because I felt right there with him, just that I was living every single day like unpresent. I was just hurrying through my day trying to get my tasks done, and then I would wake up and it was 3 months later and I didn't know what was like, I was like, what's been even going on? And he really talks about living in the present moment with God. And I just really, really love him. I love this book. I think it is so encouraging. It is a very easy read. And yeah, that's the first book. Okay guys, so the next book I do not have, but it's one of my all-time favorite books as well. This book is called Rejoice and Tremble by Michael Reeves. It is about the fear of God. It is one of those books that it's on a very specific topic that you can really learn a lot, and the topic is a little hard to understand. If you are a Christian or you grew up in the church, even if you didn't, you hear that term, fear the Lord, and it's in the Bible a lot. It really taught me what the fear of the Lord meant, and he talks about how there's different types of fear. There's like a scared fear, and then there's a fear that is like an awe-dropping, this is a powerful God fear, I must worship him, I must fall to my knees fear. And that's the fear that we are called to have. And the closer we get to him and the more we learn of him, that fear becomes bigger and bigger, and the other fear, the one that we're not called to have, gets lower and lower. And he also just talks about fearing God over anything else in the world. If you want to learn about the fear of God, definitely read that one. The next book is also by Michael Reeves, and I love this book. I want to read it again because it's been quite some time, but it is called Delighting in the Trinity by Michael Reeves. And this one is obviously about the Trinity. So again, it's a more topical book about a specific topic. He has a bunch of lectures on this as well. So if you want to hear a lecture before you like go and purchase the book, you can definitely do that. This book is so good because it taught me about the Trinity. And again, this is a topic that we hear about in the church and we hear about as Christians, but is kind of hard to understand. Like the God, the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Yes, we know it's a Trinity, but he really breaks down what that means. The biggest thing he talks about is the fact that he is the Trinity proves so much of his character to be true. And it was like jaw-dropping when I read it. He talks about how, you know, the saying God is love, and he breaks that down to the fact that God is love because he was always in communion loving in the Trinity. He basically takes the Trinity and makes it make sense into the whole gospel and the character of God, and it kind of like proves God's character, and then God's character kind of proves the Trinity. So if you want to learn about the Trinity, I would definitely read that book. It made me understand who God is a lot more and understand such a big topic and conversation that a lot of people don't understand and is hard to communicate about. It also talks a little bit about how, because God is the Trinity, how he differs from other gods, so like other religious gods, which was very interesting as well because sometimes that's a topic that comes up. So I feel like I learned a lot from that book, and it just deepened my knowledge of God and the God that I'm serving. So I love that book. I would definitely recommend. The next book, oh my gosh, I don't have this book either because I listened to it on Audible, but I was listening to this book this morning, and it is the book Prayer by Richard Foster. I felt like I was ready to step more into prayer, and so I purchased a lot of different prayer books, like 4 different ones, and this one was by like far-fetched my favorite. I don't even know anything about Richard Foster except that he is a beautiful author, and he does so well at illustrating like what he means behind what he says. The reason I love it is because A, it is the most encouraging book I've ever read. It encourages me and inspires me to pray more. The other prayer books, I'm not going to talk about those ones, but other prayer books that I read just weren't, like, it was more just knowledge and intellectually based. This prayer book is very spiritually based, but it also makes sense. He does so good at communicating and encouraging. So really, this book talks a lot about the different types of prayer, how to pray, what prayer means, and how, like, why it is so important in our relationship with God. He really taught me to be honest in my prayers. And so a big things he talks about is that God is big enough to handle what we have to say. And sometimes we like go and we want to kind of make our prayers beautiful, or we want to leave stuff out, or we want to bring our best foot forward to God. And he said, no, like, this time is a time to be with the holy God, our God, and to be in communion with him, to be close with him, and to pour out our hearts to him. I could go on a tangent about this. He talks way more than that, but honestly, this book taught me how to be truthful and honest in myself in prayer. It taught me to be confident in prayer, and it encouraged me to pray more. And when I read this book, my prayer life grew so much. I feel like prayer can have a lot of negative thoughts around it sometimes, especially when you grow up in the church, and this just completely took away my negative thoughts and brought me back to positive and encouraged thoughts. So another book that I am reading is Gentle and Lowly, and I don't even remember who that's by. Again, I'll put pictures, but I'm in the middle of reading that book. I kind of just started it, and I've loved it so far. It's really just talking about the gentle heart of God and how he loves to love us, and he loves to support us and heal us and all of those things. The last book I'm going to talk about, and this one's not really a Christian book, but to me, it really goes into Christian faith. And I love reading books that necessarily aren't Christian, but kind of bringing my faith behind them. This is one of my all-time favorite books ever. If you know me, you've heard me talk about it. You've heard me talk about all these books if you know me, but this is the book's Boundaries by Dr. Henry Cloud and Dr. John Townsend. It's more like intellectual. Basically, it talks about exactly what it says, boundaries, and how important boundaries are and how our culture knows so little of them. The overall message that I got was that we are responsible for our boundaries, and if we don't set them and we do get hurt, then that is kind of our it comes back on us. And so it's up to us to set boundaries with the people in our lives. There's like different ways based on how we grew up and how just the environment we were in, we develop these boundary problems. So some people are avoiders, some people are controllers, and some people, there's different ones. There's non-responsive, and it breaks down what that means and kind of helps you figure out what you are. It helped me learn why I had a hard time with boundaries, and then it taught me that having boundaries is actually loving to myself and to other people, because just as it is not good for me when I run dry, it's also not good to just let people think that they can do whatever, whenever. It's good to say no sometimes. It's good to like have that with the friends and family. It also breaks down different relationships. So with friends, with family, with spouses, significant others, it doesn't just talk about one. I love it. I love it. I love it. I think every single college female especially should read it. And I have preached this for so many years to the people around me. That is the end of my video. I hope that I helped give y'all some recommendations. I know that I'm not the best speaker on these books, and I have a really bad memory. I've had a lot of seizures this past year, and my memory gets really foggy, so it is a little difficult for me to explain these sometimes. I have the messages of them like engraved in my heart and in my mind and in my soul, but sometimes when you sit down and you're like, okay, this is what the book's about, it's a lot harder to actually say it. So I tried to put a variety in there. I hope you guys liked this video. If y'all have any recommendations, then go ahead and put them down below. Make sure to like and subscribe to my channel in this video. I would love for you to be a part of the family and the community here. Also, guys, I wanted to quickly say that if y'all want to see any specific Christian content, then let me know. I mean, all my content is kind of Christian based because that's just who I am, and that's just, it like has to do with every aspect of my life. But I have been thinking and praying, and I am open to doing Christian content, but I just didn't know if y'all wanted to see it. If y'all do, then go ahead and put some suggestions down below or message me with some suggestions on Instagram. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see y'all in the next video. Bye, guys.